Today I'm bringing guys a brand new sports cards video. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down what I believe to be the best current investments under $10. Now, before we get into that, I did want to say I appreciate all the support recently. We are on our way to 50,000 subscribers, so I'd really appreciate if you guys could go ahead and subscribe to the channel to help us get there if you guys enjoy the content. But without further ado, we're going to hop right into our first pick, and that is going to be none other than Jalen Brunson and his Green Prism rookie cards. So these cards right here are raw around $10. Some fall slightly short depending on condition, but I believe that this is one of the best investments you can make right now with around $10. Now, as you guys know, the Knicks recently have traded away RJ Barrett and they've landed OG Anunoby, and the Knicks are really starting to come together. I think they're a young group with quite a lot of talent, but what I really love about Jalen Brunson's card market is that it's still very, very shallow compared to the city that he's playing in. I think if Jalen Brunson can bring the Knicks, a playoff series win or maybe even just a playoff appearance, in the short term, I think there's going to be a lot of hype generated around the New York Knicks in the playoffs. The Knicks have one of the biggest fan bases, one of the biggest spending in terms of the spending power of their fan base. And I believe that Jalen Brunson, as he continues to play in New York, as they continue to figure it out, get new young weapons around them, and as OG Anunoby, Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle all continue to develop, I believe the Knicks can really be a playoff team in years to come. And if they're making playoff appearances with Jalen Brunson leading them, I think a lot of his cards are going to really appreciate with him being in the Big Apple, being in the spotlight, everyone, a massive fan base following the Knicks, and I just think he was really kind of shadowed in Dallas by Luka Doncic and by the smaller market. But now I think with him being the number one option for one of the biggest fan bases of the NBA, I think his cards are going to do really well. So I definitely recommend maybe holding on to this for a couple of years. He's a scoring machine. He can definitely put up those big 30, 40-point games, which I think is going to really help in the long run. So I just think his cards are positioned very well right now with where he's playing in and just his overall situation. So without further ado, we're going to hop right into the next pick, and that is going to be Vince Carter's Topps rookie. I know that's a little bit of a 180 from where we were just at, but the reason for Vince Carter's cards, the catalyst that I see right now is that he is going to be leading the 2024 Hall of Fame class. So the Hall of Fame class of 2024 is a little bit weaker of a class, but Vince Carter is definitely going to be, inducted, in my opinion, and I think it's a very hard card to go wrong. Vince Carter's a fan favorite, a legend in Toronto, a legend in Canada in general for Canadian basketball, one of the best dunkers, high flyers, in NBA history, and I think his cards are just, you can get a Topps rookie card of his ungraded for around $3, which to me is very absurd. I think overall, long-term, Vince being the icon he is, still continuing to show up on TV, I think a lot of his cards have a lot of upside, and with him getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, I think a lot of attention is going to get to his cards. And given how low his prices are, if attention comes to his cards, I think his prices are going to really do well and benefit. So I definitely would be one to recommend Vince Carter's Topps rookie card. Now, next up on the list, we've got another retired player. I know this might be a little bit more boring than you guys thought, but Tim Duncan's Topps rookie card. I just think in general, a lot of this past generation has been really swept under the rug. A lot of people are going very hard towards vintage right now, and a lot very hard towards modern. So when I'm saying vintage, I'm saying the Michael Jordans, the Wilt Chamberlains, the much older cards, but I think the generation in between, hasn't really had its time since 2021, and I think that can really change because of how undervalued guys like Kobe are right now, guys like Tim Duncan are, guys like Vince Carter are. I think a lot of money is eventually going to flow back into, the last generation. as, that generation continues to get money and this becomes the new vintage. I know that may take some time, but in general, I think a lot of Tim Duncan's cards are just wildly underpriced. In my books, he's a top 10 player of all time, one of the best centers of all time, or the best power forward of all time, excuse me. But yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of upside and very small downside given how low these currently are. So I just think it's a no-brainer to buy these up and wait for, the 90s time to come again, because it definitely will come. You saw it in 2021 when everyone was rushing towards guys like Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, and I think it's a matter of time before that comes back again. Now, next up, we're going to hop right into the next pick, and this is a very different pick. We're going 180 back to Yao Ming. Now, the reason for me recommending Yao Ming's cards is due to the massive surge in sports card popularity in China and in Asia in general right now. As you guys know, if you guys are unfamiliar, the ASCC, the Asia Sports Collectors Convention, just took place for the first time in history in December of 2023, and there's a record number. And when I tell you a record number, I'm not just saying this, I'm seeing a lot of interest in Asia coming to sports cards, new shows coming up, new companies coming out in Asia, so many new members of our program that are coming into our program from Asia. So there's a lot of influx of people into the hobby coming from Asia. I believe that their guy who they can collect is going to be Yao Ming. Of course, probably the greatest Asian basketball player of all time, at least the most iconic Asian basketball player of all time. And I think he's always going to have a very strong collector's market in Asia. So as Asia continues to grow, I think Yao Ming's cards are going to do really, really well. So that is why I'm personally a buyer in Yao Ming's market right now. Now, next up on the list, we are going with another player from that era, and that is Steve Nash, one of the greatest true point guards of all time. He's a legend in Phoenix. There's a lot of collectability around his cards as well. You'll realize that is a big trend in today's video. Collectability, players who are underpriced and very collectible, and I think Steve Nash fits just that. So I'm definitely a buyer in Steve Nash's market. I think his prices are really low, got a lot of upside, minimal downside, and overall I think his cards are going to do really well. So that is why I'm personally a buyer in Steve Nash's market, but I really hope you guys did enjoy. As I mentioned, if you guys do want to go ahead and join the program and get more picks and picks earlier before they hit YouTube, all you have to do is click the link down below to sportscardsinvest.com. Go ahead, pick one of the packages. It comes with consulting as well. There's a lot of benefits that come to that if you guys are interested in picks like this. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'm out. Peace.